Okay, I umemo tingilinde kancane.
Hello and Sunny Bonani. Welcome to Tier 2 action. It's the BrakeAway Racing League. Welcome to the sprint race at the Lusail International Circuit. Welcome to Qatar. We should have a cracking race in store for you. As you can see, we have about 13 of the championship's drivers represented, including a second successive race in the second tier for the former top-tier champion, Zihle. Grimjaw is here to stake their claim. Mango opted to slip out of the action in Azerbaijan last time out, but we do not expect such scenes this time in a more forgiving circuit in Qatar. Some of the major action that we saw in Tier 3 last night was drivers coming together wheel to wheel at certain corners. But we'll certainly be hoping for more of that. I'm not alone in today's commentary box. A little bit later on, I will be joined by none other than Tindo, who is plying his trade in the top tier of BrakeAway Racing League. He should be joining us pretty shortly. But it is good to have you. I see Sir Lancelot is already first in the comment section. It's good to see you and everybody else who has joined the fray for Tier 2 action. Now, in the second tier of the BrakeAway Racing League, or rather, in all of our tiers, the sprint races are reverse grid. So, the lower you are in the championship, the higher up the sprint race you will begin. So, we will be getting a sense of how these Tier 2 drivers will fare. I'm just pulling up the information regarding the standings after our most recent race in Baku. Now, at the bottom of the standings, having made 0 appearances this season, is Josh, a.k.a. Damnesia. Sir Lancelot, currently second bottom of the standings, 19th. Fense is 18th. The King Rapture is 17th, having crashed out twice in China and in Baku last time out. King Rapture, very, very pacey driver. We do expect great things from him, and we will see how his race pans out. We do expect the King Rapture to be among the front runners because of the reverse grid. Marshy is 16th in the standings. Liddy is 15th. I Am Lipo is 14th. Kid K is 13th. Tiago Maestro is 12th in the standings. And Quali is 11th. Zihle, who recently joined, is 10th in the championship standings. And here we go with his 5 lights. It's the only time South Africans look forward to the lights going out. We are racing for 10 laps here in Qatar. Fense and the King Rapture are your top 2 drivers over here. And Fense hangs on, taking the outside line. Look at them line it up perfectly into turn 1. Almost making contact there with the Red Bull. They stay in formation. Zihle hangs on to that P3 spot. Looking absolutely good. Will be looking to stake their claim for a spot in the podium. And it's looking very, very good for Zihle as it currently stands. Kid K is hanging on to that P4 spot. Billy Hendricks is in P5. There's a bit of a scrap. McLaren goes spinning. Who is that? It is Dexa. He's all the way down to the bottom. M. Shanku moves up as a result of that light spin. But sadly, 2 more cars have gone down. It's Mango and I Am Lipo, who might have made contact earlier on. Lipo is struggling at the back, spinning, and so much heat in those tires. And we're just going to make sure that we show you, I beg your pardon, all of the info that you are that can help you with a virtual safety car, courtesy of the early moments of contact that you've seen over here. Let's get a sense of some of the big movers. Mango dropping down 2 positions. Will not be happy with that. Yellow flags all over the track. It is Fense and the King Rapture who have hung on to those top 2 spots. And it's a full safety car here in Qatar. Tindo, are you with us at the moment?
Yeah, I'm here at the moment. Hey, it's just unfortunate for Mango, and at least the safety car is rescued him. I don't know. I'm just wondering what tires it's gonna put on, whether it's gonna go on soft and go all the way. Hey, let's just wait and see.
We will see. Indeed, the biggest mover in that early action is Grimjaw. Simps down in P6 had gained 4 positions, but has opted to come in to the pit lane. As Smirch Django was noting in the comment section, the fast-moving Mango is brand new to the racing wheel. Less than a week since Mango has transitioned from the controller to the racing wheel. So is this going to be a golden opportunity for everybody else to stake their claim on those top positions? Mango, all the way from the back of the pack, is going to switch wings and put on a fresh set of soft compound tires. Sims, Kid Case by Zozo, and Mango, the quartet, which came into the pits earlier on. Fensei from the King Rapture from C-Clay. That is your top three as it currently stands. The biggest mover, Tindo, is Grimjaw. What a start from them. 8 positions gained compared to the likes of Ford by Spexa, who we saw have a little bit of a moment earlier on.
Yeah, I think that's our biggest move, actually, and we're just hoping that he can hold on to that, because the guys that are behind him, they're also pretty quick as well. So I guess now with him, with this performance, I think he's been doing well lately, if I'm not mistaken. But let's just hopefully he can be able to hold on for long, because he got quick guys behind him. With Mango, with Spy, let's not count him out as well. With Skeksa, is also not light, even the neutral. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see if he's going to hold on to that.
Absolutely. It is going to be very, very interesting. Ban Kobe is in the comment section saying, I would love to attend the Qatar Grand Prix. Hopefully we do see Ban Kobe in the race tomorrow. It might be touch and go, according to the early polls, as we now watch this Tier 2 sprint race continue under the safety car, courtesy of all those moments of contact that we saw and all those wings which were donated or lost to the track. But of course, under the safety car, the pack will bunch up behind one another, and then in due course we will go racing again. Let's take a look at the tires, the tire situation. It was, I would assume, could have been a full complement of medium tires were it not for the pit stops. Nucho, Sims, Spizozo, Mango. Now the 4 drivers that are currently on a soft tire compound as a result of that. But the Nucho had opted, they had not pitted, they had opted to start this race on those softs. And, well, Fensei, King Rapture, they need the points down at the bottom of the championship. Neither have finished in the points. They both have 2 DNFs in the races that they have started. Fensei crashed out in Baku and also in Saudi Arabia. And currently at the top of this championship is none other than definitely Duke, who sadly is not in the sprint race lobby. Perhaps Duke could join in time for the start of the feature race. Well, time will tell. We will keep a close eye on that. Fensei and the King Rapture, highly experienced pair. They both tasted what it's like to race among the top tier of the BrakeAway Racing League drivers, so we expect a lot from them. C-Clay will not pass up this opportunity to start the feature race in pole position. Of course, the sprint race results determine the starting order for the feature race. Welcome to Tier 2 action. Welcome to the Lusail International Circuit for the second tier BrakeAway League Racing. Tindo, I would assume at this particular point you've been putting in a lot of work on the simulator, trying to practice. Tell us about this track, its characteristics, and well, what kind of a challenge you're expecting tomorrow.
It is. Hey, it's pretty nice though, but it's a technical track. You know, you just have to keep your car on inside the track, because it's easy to just exceed track limits, and also it's easy as well to spin. And it's so nice, so smooth driving around it, but it's a very, very, very tricky track. That's why you find we have that instant safety car so early like this, because you know, you think you've got the corner or you've got it, and next thing someone just touch you, you spin, or even just go on the curves. It's actually tricky as well.
It is not as unforgiving as the walls of Baku and Monaco, but as we've already seen, it is well, fast and flowing circuit, but it really needs you to be on point. Race control has given the word that the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. We will watch closely to see how Fensei fares, what Fensei does, how he opts to try and catch them off guard. This is Fensei through turn 16. He forces some of the drivers to play a little bit of bumper cars, and he's really playing, toying with them, keeps on inching closer and closer to the brakes. We'll hop on board with Billy Hendricks, who has a very good view, and it looks like Fensei may just have caught some of the drivers behind Billy Hendricks completely off guard. No, it's not necessarily the case for Grimjaw, who is very, very close to the action among the front runners. tires. It is Seaclay trying to keep Billy Hendricks at bay. Billy Hendricks defends that inside line, and he hangs on to that P3 spot, or P4 spot, or does he? Here comes Grimjaw, gets that overtake done cleanly, and now is going to look to hunt down the former champion of the top tier, Seaclay. They're looking very, very close are the top four, being chased as best as they possibly can by Mshengu, but that gap is now more than a second that Mshengu has to catch up to the top four drivers. Meanwhile, Mango at the back has managed to overtake Kid K to go up to P12. It's going to be a lot of work for Mango to do as he adjusts to the new racing wheel, as the likes of Dom Ravigo have mentioned in the comments section. Not perhaps expecting too many big things from Mango as he adjusts from the controller to the perils of the racing wheel. And Fundo is one such driver who has spoken very, very broadly about how that is not the easiest of transitions to make. This is Billy Hendricks falling further and further behind the leading quartet, but Grimjaw is much, much closer to giving Seaclay much bigger headache as they now make the way through turn 15 down towards the final 16. And will Grimjaw be close enough to be able to make a clean effort of a potential overtake? Well, not necessarily now. The King Fensei slaloms to the right and then to the left as he tries to break the slipstream of the drivers behind him, but Seaclay is the quickest on those medium compound tires. As I say that, Sims on the softs sets a 23.7 to lay a new benchmark in lap 5 of a total 10 of the sprint race. It's been absolutely sensational. Look at Grimjaw, look at Seaclay taking a little bit of the curve, trying to get closer and closer to His Royal Highness, the King Raptor. The gap between these four and the chasing pack is 2.7 seconds and building. Seaclay trying to play it careful. Grimjaw is going for it aggressively. Will he brake later? No, he does not exactly do that into the hairpin of turn number 6. And he's absolutely pushing his Grimjaw, as is Seaclay, going side by side with the King Raptor, who says, no, you shall not. You're going to have to take the long way around. And Seaclay goes a little bit off track, but he still has a little bit of advantage, and he's done it. Seaclay's overtaken the Grimjaw in this oh-so-sensational 5th lap of a total 10 in this sprint race. Beautiful stuff by the 3-time champion, now hunting down Fensei and giving him a lot to think about. Tindo, breathless stuff from Seaclay versus the King Raptor there, and Grimjaw is going to give them trouble as well.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I'm actually watching the battle. I feel like it was a good drive as well from Grimjaw and Seaclay taking that corner as well. It's pretty tricky, but Grimjaw is King Raptor is also in the mix. Let's not count him out, but he's going over the track to my track limits. You just need to be careful not to get penalties. But it's pretty interesting with the top 4 as well.
Absolutely. It's about 1 second, give or take, separating the entirety of these top 4. And Grimjaw opting to play it safe over there. And we saw the King Raptor just blitz ever so closer to Seaclay in the braking zone of turn number 1. Wow. Mango is a tier 3 level driver on the wheel, so says the Prince of South Africa. Not impressed with Mango. Of course, we so accustomed to Mango being blitzing through the field. Not today, but Grimjaw says, oh yes, today, versus the King Raptor. Now has the outside line, but Seaclay seems to have a little bit of a moment, but he keeps it together ever so slightly. Grimjaw and Seaclay have a slight twitch of the rear, but Grimjaw is now up to P3 and is going to look to give Seaclay a heck of a challenge between now and the end of this sprint race. Lap 6 of a total 10. Let's take a look at the situation as far as battery power is concerned. Grimjaw sitting at about 57%. Seaclay is at 25, trying to keep up with Fensei, who is down to about 22%. Of course, no advantage of DRS, which should be getting activated in quick succession. Phew, it's been an absolutely breathless sprint race here, folks. I see the fire emojis coming in for Grimjaw in the comment section. Fensei doing a stellar job of keeping these guys at bay. Slight twitch of the rear on the exit of the final corner for Fensei. We're going to catch up with the rest of the action in the midfield, but right now it is Seaclay versus Fensei versus Grimjaw, and they both go on the outside of the AlphaTauri. Who will have the line going into turn 1? And Seaclay has the inside line, but Grimjaw, does he have the pace? Not necessarily. Hands on to the outside line. He swings it, but it's going to turn it to the inside of the left-hander, and Grimjaw versus Seaclay. They bump wheels, and they almost send him careening off the track, but Grimjaw somehow keeps it on track. Sensational stuff. He bumps wheels with Fensei. Grimjaw versus Fensei through the right-hander, and Grimjaw's now up to P2. It's sensational still racing, but sadly for Grimjaw, we're going to have to contend with a 3-second time penalty, which would cost him dearly before all is said and done here. But what a sensational battle we have here at the top of the standings. C-Clay is in the lead by a factor of about a second. Titus is commending the championship caliber driving, the championship caliber battling at the top of this Tier 2 sprint race. My goodness, Grimjaw is sending it, so says Smirch Jango in the comment section. It is absolutely breathless stuff, and the King Rapture is still there and thereabouts. Do not count me out, says the King Rapture, even though I have about 21% of my battery power remaining. 3 laps of racing still to go. Fensei comes unstuck. Fensei goes off track. Grimjaw takes advantage, now up to P3. Fensei, who started off this race oh so beautifully, has lost a place in the podium completely in the space of a single lap. It has been a titanic effort by Fensei to hang on to the race lead for so long, but try as he might, he ran out of battery power, he ran out of sauce, he ran out of deuce, and he could not have an answer. But right now he's going to give Grimjaw, or rather the King Rapture, something to think about, and he now fights back up to that P3 spot. It's Fensei back in that podium place. Now Grimjaw versus C-Clay is a battle that we're going to pay close attention to. Let's get back down to the midfield battles, as Texa is giving Simps a lot to think about over here, and as they're in this battle for P7, it looks like Estexa has gotten that overtake done, and Simps is in 6s and 7s here, really struggling, even though the car looked like they were glitching for a bit of a moment over there. Spyzozo is down to P9 as things currently stand. Mango on this recovery drive is at P10 as things currently stand. Kid K is in P11, and Shengu is 12th, and I Am Lipo down in that P13 spot. Back to the battle for the race lead. Grimjaw versus C-Clay, who was flashing, as some of you rightly noted last time out. C-Clay will hope to stay in control, in command of this race for the remaining 2 laps. There it is, C-Clay flashing. No DRS advantage for the former champion, and as you can see, down to about 9% of that battery power at this particular point of the race. Will Grimjaw have enough in the bag to get this done as a clean overtake, as an incident-free overtake down towards turn 1? Huge overtaking opportunity. It's Grimjaw on the inside. It's Grimjaw with the superior advantage of that straight line speed, of course, granted by the slipstream. C-Clay made a little bit of contact through that initial corner, and he's going to have to watch himself to potentially not be in line of taking potential damage. And if you look at that gap between C-Clay and Fensei, it is about 3.5 seconds. It means that at the very least, Grimjaw can get consolidate a podium place. Oh, C-Clay, bit of a twitch of the rear on the exit of that slower corner, which was turn 6, the hairpin. C-Clay loses a little bit of ground, just a couple of tenths. That gap between the top two now 0.6 of a second. As Buddha says, Grimjaw is here to welcome C-Clay back to racing. It's not going to be smooth sailing for C-Clay, who was so used to dominating in years gone by, but not anymore, it seems. Grimjaw is here to stake their claim on a sensational result here, potentially. C-Clay now biding their time. Tier 2 is cooking, so says Ngawako, aka D-Wax. His Royal Highness King Rapture earns what could be the first time penalty of the day. As you can see, Sims has 6 seconds worth of time penalties. Mango also 6 seconds. Kid K, M. Shengu with 3 seconds apiece. Down in the midfield. It is still Sims versus Estexa, Ferrari versus McLaren, but it doesn't look like Sims, who we're so used to seeing do absolute bits, as the youth would say. He's not quite holding his own here today. C-Clay trying to stay within the slipstream, bide their time, build up that spare battery capacity in the hope that they can just make it a P1 finish by virtue of, that time penalty that Grimjaw has. He's perhaps content to stay within a second of Grimjaw. They're both on about equal battery power, 17% or thereabouts. They've just exited turn 7. This is 8 into 9 and 10. 10, of course, being the slow left-hander that they're navigating right now. what a sensationally entertaining sprint race we have had, particularly from the leading quartet. Down for P4, it is King Rapture versus Fensei once again. Are they going to bang wheels into this right-hander? It's a fast corner. Fensei holds the outside line, and King Rapture makes contact, and they both go tumbling and spinning. But as they do so, of course, we're going to get back to the action of the drivers on the verge of winning the sprint race. Billy Hendricks is now up to the podium places for the sprint race, and Grimjaw will cross the line in P1, but C-Clay will get that result courtesy of that penalty. Billy Hendricks, what a sensational result for them. They're going to come home on the podium in the sprint race. It's going to be P3 for the Aston Martin driver, and the Nucho, despite what looks like, is it a wing attack? Yes, it is. The Nucho will come home in P4. Fensei and the King Rapture, who gave us some sensational entertainment in the midfield, will have to settle for P6 and 7 respectively after they spun so dramatically. Simps will end this sprint race in P8. Looks like they're having slight network issues. Their car looks to be glitching all over the place. Spizozo, the sergeant of straight line speed, comes home in P9 of the sprint race. That's where they'll start the feature race. Mango on the wheel comes home in P10. Sadly, in a sprint, that is not enough for points. Only the top 8 drivers get points. Kid K will bring it home with a 3-second time penalty in that P11 spot. And M. Shengu and I Am Lipo round off the rest of this 13-driver field. What a breathless sprint race we have had here in Tier 2. I do hope we see more of that, at the very least, in the Tier 1 sprint action taking place tomorrow. If you've just joined us, it has been an absolute humdinger of a race. Beautiful stuff. I Am Lipo will come home in that P13 spot. C-Clay take a bow in the sprint race at least, and the pole position in the feature race to come. C-Clay takes the applause of the onlooking crowd here at the Lusail International Circuit. Driver of the day, according to the game, in the sprint race is Grimjaw, who is sensational, finding their way up. And look at that, the point allocation over there. It is 8 points, extra points of the championships for C-Clay. Grimjaw gets 7. Billy Hendricks, 6 extra points. The Nucho, 5. Estexa, 4. Fensei gets an extra 3 points. The King Rapture, His Royal Highness, it could have been so much more, but it's only 2. And Simps walks away with that extra points. Well, Sid's figure of speech says this is going to be a mouth-watering race. Smirch Django, champion of Tier 1, says, what a fight that was. Sensei got 3 seconds. Is Sensei Grimjaw, I wonder? Charlie 3 Stacks, Charlie 3000, the face of BrakeAway, is back in the comments section, saying Billy and Nucho benefit massively from that. Man, I'm crying. That rapture moment. Breathless stuff that we've seen. Mango on the wheel will get cooked, even in Tier 3, so reckons the Prince of South Africa. Well. Not a lot of faith for Mango. Can he adapt very quickly in the weeks to come? We've seen Smirch Django's adaptation be very positive. Definitely Duke sadly leaves the session. Does that mean Duke was not allocated a car in this lobby? That is heartbreaking for Duke, who has done so well in this season. Leading the championship is Duke on 37 points before the start of this race, but with Grimjaw's extra points that he just gained, Grimjaw is the new championship leader in Tier 2, and C-Clay will look to have a lot to say about that before all is said and done. Estexa, driving for McLaren, is currently 3rd in the driver's standings before the start of today's race, and Mango was 4th, Simps was 5th, Mshengu was 6th, by Zozo 7th, Danucho 8th, Billy Hendricks was 9th in the standings, and C-Clay was 10th in the driver's standings before the start of today's proceedings. I would love to hear your thoughts on who your predicted top 3 will be. Also, bearing in mind some of the very pacey drivers that we have scattered throughout the midfield. let us know, folks. I would love to hear your thoughts. It's good to see all of you in the comment section. Azuri is here, Esbuda is here, as is the former champion Titus. Now, we're going to go racing. It's 4 lights, 5 lights. The only time South Africans look forward to the lights going out, and we are racing in Qatar. Mango had a terrible jump start. He gets a 5-second penalty for that. Definitely Duke is in the comment section. Grimjaw is going on the attack versus Seaclay. He's got the inside line. Grimjaw has got the lead, or does he hang on to it? Seaclay says no, you shall not pass. And into turn 2, the former champion hangs on to that P1 spot, reclaims it. Meanwhile, in the midfield, Sims versus Lucho is one to watch very closely. Yellow flag already. There's an AlphaTauri. It's Fence pumping wheels with Billy Hendricks. Fence takes that place, I beg your pardon, from Spizozo, and not Billy Hendricks, who's much further ahead. Spizozo versus definitely Duke this time around, who is tumbling down. It looks like definitely Duke, who has not managed to be in the lobby by the start of this race, losing so many places. Let's take a look of how those positions have changed. Simps, the biggest mover by some margin, up to P4, gaining a net 4 places. Billy Hendricks sadly going down 2 places at the start of this race. On board we go with Simps, who is now attacking the McLaren of Iskeksa for that P3 spot. It is soft tires versus mediums. Interesting strategy by Simps to go very, very aggressive early on and out for those softs. So Simps is thinking track position early on, and is going to look to give those front runners a lot to think about, even though he's going to have to pit early. It is Simps on the outside of the McLaren in the run towards turn 16, the final corner. He's so close to Simps, also being hunted down by Billy Hendricks, who's lost those positions behind him. Meanwhile, Grimjaw versus Seaclay, that battle rages on as they send it screaming towards turn number 1. And Grimjaw this time, yeah, the inside last time out, he's on the outside like Seaclay did, and Grimjaw moves up to P1 marginally, but Seaclay's going to fight it. No, he does not have enough in the bag. It is Grimjaw who hangs on to that P1 spot. And as you can see, all these drivers in lap 1, Seaclay opted for the outside, or Seaclay had the outside, which turned it to the inside for turn 2. And that is exactly how Grimjaw wrestled that P1 spot from the former champion. We're going to see some beautiful battles between these top 2 drivers. I can tell you that. What a beautiful sprint race we had. And these drivers give absolutely nothing away. And between now and the edit proceedings, I'm pretty sure we're going to see a whole lot of sensational racing. Simps managed to overcome Estexa, and he's now currently down in that up to P3, having gained 5 positions. Kid K has gained 2, Lipo and definitely Duke have each gained 3 positions. Mango has dropped 4 places. Fence has dropped a total of 7 places. Remember, Mango had that jump start. He was penalized for that. So it is not exactly smooth sailing as far as he's concerned. On board we go with the former champion of the top tier, Seaclay, who has about less than half a second between himself and Grimjaw. Behind them, of course, is the onrushing Sims. As we take a quick look at the tire strategy, the tire compounds selected by all of these drivers. Mixed bag, as you can see. Sims and Lipo and Duke opted for those soft tires at the start. Sensei has put it for a fresh set of softs. He's all the way at the back, or towards the back of this field. And we've got a couple of drivers, about 4 in total, who started on the hards. Billy Hendricks, His Royal Highness the King Raptor, the Sergeant of Straight Line Speeds by Zozo, and M. Shengu. Of course, a few of them who have experience in the top tier in seasons gone by. Sims is trying to bridge that gap. It's about 1.4 seconds to the top 2. Estexa is trying to keep the Nucho at bay. It's not going to be easy. It is hards versus mediums, and it is, I beg your pardon, they're both on medium tires. It is Billy Hendricks behind them who currently has those hard tires. So it's equal footing for the McLaren and the Ferrari driver respectively, both looking very, very comfortable. And if you look at the Nucho steering wheel, he's down to less than half of his battery power, and he's deployed a little bit of that battery at this particular point, and inches closer and closer to the McLaren ahead of him as they now head towards turn 15. Where he keeps it absolutely inch perfect, does the Nucho, and he's now within touching distance. Less than half a second is the Ferrari. And will he go for it? He deploys a little bit more of that battery. And, of course, he's got the advantage of that DRS. Will he dive? Estetza tries to make the car as wide as possible, but try as he might. The Nucho, not yet close enough. He's got the outside line, but he has to relent and allow Estetza to hang on to that P4 for position. King Rapture versus Billy Hendricks, another close battle here in the midfield. Red Bull versus the Aston Martin of Billy Hendricks, who did so well to capitalize on some of these spins ahead of him in the sprint race. King Rapture versus Fente, that was in the sprint race, but His Royal Highness, the King Rapture, looking to take advantage, almost making contact with the back of the Aston Martin there through the hairpin of turn number 6. Here they come now towards 7 and 8, which come rushing towards you oh so quickly. Both these drivers on a set of hard compound tires. How close will it be? Ahead of them, of course, you can see the Ferrari of Nuccio still trying to fight to overtake the McLaren of Espresso. Grimjaw and Cicle are going to lap Mango if he's not careful. So says the Prince of South Africa. Oh no, Simps becoming one of the first drivers to rack up a 3-second time penalty for track limit warnings. There was a similar case in the sprint race as well. So Simps, he's got the pace in the future race, but not quite the discipline to keep that car within the track limit. Cicle much closer. Cicle on the inside. Cicle back towards the lead of this race in lap number 5 of 29. As this breathless race is just serving up so many battles all over the track. We can barely keep up with the action. So many places to be watching throughout the track. Once again, 3-second time penalty. The second driver to get that is Fence, who joins Simps to be able, to get that. Oh, a little bit of a twitch by Cicle. It is not quite perfect, as these tires must be screaming here in Qatar, as we mentioned in yesterday's race. This is a punishing track. Oh no, Grimjaw once again gets a time penalty for track limit incursion. He's now going to have to hope that Cicle racks up a similar penalty, but it's so early in the race. Only 5 laps completed, and Grimjaw gets that time penalty, and as you can see, it might have rattled him a little bit. Mango becomes the first retiree. If you look on the track map, is that Mango on the exit of the final corner? Mango brings out the safety car. Well. Mango has left the session. Mango retiring all the way from the back of the pack, and Grimjaw opts to box opposite Cicle. Seeing that the race leader did not pit, so Grimjaw rolls the dice. I want to hear in the comments what you guys make of this call by Grimjaw. Very early. He switches from the mediums to the hards. Mango quits, says the Prince of South Africa. Not impressed with that. Mango, the first retirement of this race, bringing out the first safety car of the feature race. Grimjaw, who was fighting for the race lead, comes out with Simps also behind him. Simps fits a fresh set of mediums, and Estexa has a brand spanking new set of hard compound tires. Behind them, Mshengu, who was on hards, has now opted to come in for a wing change, as well as what looks like he's serving a time penalty there before they start work on the car. They take off the compromised wing for the new one, as well as a fresh set of mediums, which I doubt will be in good nick by the end of this race. Duke says, I can't race with a standard setup. Well, that's unfortunate, Duke. You might have been in with a shot here of a decent points finish. Still a lot of racing still to go if Duke were to change their mind and come back into the lobby and back into the race. And Shengu now coming out of the pits, followed by Fence, who's going aggressive with his tire strategy, fitting a set of softs down Radical, barely understanding what Simps is doing with that decision to come into the pits when he chose to do so. Let's take stock of your field as things currently stand. It is Cicle leading here in Tier 2. They gave him hell to the likes of Grimjaw earlier on. Beautiful battles that we saw between those two. He's in the lead of this race, as the Nuccio behind him opts to come into the pits. King Rapture now promoted to P2, courtesy of the Nuccio's decision. Billy Hendricks will move up to that P3 spot. Spy Zozo will follow. Who else is coming into the pits? It looks like Kid K, the Haas of Kid K, following the Nuccio into the pits. Spy Zozo is in P5 on those hards that he had started this race with. I am Lipo. Curiously, had started on the softs, is still on the same set of tires. I would have expected Lipo to come into the pits at this particular point, considering the tire compound that they had gone with, an aggressive tire strategy that the Lipo had opted to start this race with. Lipo, 4 championship points in the driver's standings. He finished 8th, did Lipo, in China. Sadly crashed out in Saudi Arabia and did not race in Azerbaijan. So curious tire strategy there. Grimjaw, courtesy of some of those drivers pitting later than he did, is in P6. So he's going to feel good about his potential prospects. But I want to hear your thoughts on how you expect Grimjaw's hard tires to be performing come the end of this race. We do expect Cicle to potentially select a set of hards. So Cicle will have the tire advantage later on. Simps, interestingly, opted for mediums. Went aggressive earlier on, did Simps. Also, I think Simps also had started on the softs, but now is on the mediums. So, it, of course, is Simps and Grimjaw. Very, very pacey. This man in the McLaren, Escletza, done very, very well in this race. Saw him getting very racy with the Nuccio behind him. Still managed to keep the Ferrari of the Nuccio behind as race control gives the word that the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. Cicle, King Rapture, Billy Hendricks. That is the battle that we're going to be watching very, very closely over here. The top 3, Spaizozo 4th, Lipo 5th, Grimjaw 6th, Simpson 7th, Escalo, McLaren is 8th, Nuccio 9th, the Ghost of Duke is 10th, Mshengu, Fensei, and Kid K round off the rest of this field. This is the vantage point from the P4 running. Spaizozo is weaving left and right, and as you can see, also trying to get some temperature into those tires. Cicle might have caught the King Raptor completely off guard. Oh, Spaizozo goes off the track, trying to catch up and just get their bearings back in the right kind of mode. Cicle has a huge gap, unchallenged into turn 1. Oh, Billy Hendricks thought about diving on the inside of the King Rapture, but could not get that move done. Grimjaw has gained 1 place now at the restart, and he's attacking Spaizozo. The ultimate straight line speed. Will they ban wheels? Almost. They come all so close together, but it looks like Grimjaw may have this move done. Oh, look at Sims also attacking Spaizozo. They make contact, and sadly Spaizozo goes spinning off the track. But hopefully it's not too big of an issue, and Spaizozo still hangs on to P6 at the very least. Oh, Billy Hendricks throws off track. Thank you very much, says Grimjaw. Now up to P3 before the end of this lap, and now Grimjaw is going to be attacking His Royal Highness, the King Rapture. They bang wheels, do Sims and Billy Hendricks. Giving nothing away is Billy, as he comes under duress and under attack by the Ferrari behind him. Grimjaw making light work, trying to fight back here in the space of a single lap. Next target is His Royal Highness the King Rapture, who will not make it easy by any stretch of the imagination. We saw King Rapture give nothing away versus Fensei in a battle which sent both of those cars spinning in the sprint race. Will it be the case this time around? Time will tell as these two fight. Cicle inches further and further away. Now 2.5 seconds is the gap. Man, oh man, it's Grimjaw on the inside. King Rapture tries to close the door, but it was too little, too late. And here comes Simps, Pioe Zundi on the outside of the Red Bull this time out. So much pace in the slipstream of Grimjaw, and he now gets that move done up to P3. Simps and Grimjaw now hunting down the champion that would be Cicle. And as I say that, Cicle might have made a mistake here because a gap that was 2.5 seconds is now down to 1.7 seconds. And Lipo is out. Lipo becomes the second casualty here in Qatar, bringing out the second safety car of the day. Man, oh man, oh man. I can barely keep up with the action. I am Lipo, sadly, is out. Bringing out the second safety car. And Grimjaw, who was absolutely surging ahead, had a golden opportunity now. But perhaps he won't feel the need to come into the pits. Cyclé, this will be a free pit stop for him, with everybody now moving slowly. And the field will get bunched up once again. As Charlie 3 Stacks, Charlie 3000 says, too fast, too furious, and Cyclé got lucky over there. Jaw flies, Grimjaw flies, so says Crash in the comment section. Absolutely. Drive-through penalty for Kid K, speeding under the safety car, sadly for him. And here comes Cyclé now into the pits. Grimjaw will see no need to do so. He carries on. Cyclé will have a 4-lap tire advantage come between now and the end of this race. Simps is on the mediums. Will not make life easy for Grimjaw, which will be good news for Cyclé, of course, because the more they fight, the better news that is for Cyclé, who will now have to fight through the midfield. Espexa will come out ahead of the Williams of Cyclé, as we can see over there. Billy Hendricks is also in the pits. It's a fresh set of mediums for him. Definitely Duke. The ghost of Duke just coming in to the pits over there. And M. Shengu is now into the points. A fresh set, 3-lap older mediums for M. Shengu. Spyzozo, the sergeant of straight line speed, is on a fresh set of mediums, 1 lap old. And Fensei has pitted again and opted for mediums again. Kid K also out of this session. Team Haas really struggling here in Tier 2. Struggling in this circuit. Sadly, Kid K is out. Kid K's retirement means he has only racked up a total of 4 points, or rather 12 points, I beg your pardon, having finished 4th in China. And this is the 3rd consecutive DNF that Kid K has racked up here. So not good news for Kid K. He's currently 13th in the driver standings. Grimjaw, well, what a season he's having. He's the new championship leader after the results of the sprint race. And as things currently stand, he's your race leader. And with those sequences of pits having been done, it's Grimjaw from Sims from His Royal Highness the King Rapture, your top 3. The Nucho is 4th. The McLaren of Esclexa is currently P5 from Cyclé. Billy Hendricks is 7th, and Shengu is 8th. Spyzozo is 9th from the Ghost of Definitely Duke. And Fensei rounds off the 11 remaining drivers here in Qatar. Let's take a look at the penalty situation. Sadly, Mshengu drive-through penalty, possibly for speeding under the safety car. 3 seconds each for the top 2. Billy Hendricks also with that 3-second time penalty. Is that Billy or Spyzozo coming into the pits? It's one of the McLarens. And yeah, it's Spyzozo. And Fensei also has a 3-second time penalty. That's the sitch. Only the King Rapture has yet to pit, as we are now into the 11th of a total 29 laps here in Qatar. Going to be at a disadvantage will His Royal Highness the King Rapture. Going to try to warm up those tires as best he possibly can. It's not going to be easy with Nucho and the McLaren and the Williams behind. That are going to be putting him under all of the pressure. I do expect race control to give the word that we will get back to racing conditions very, very soon. Django says, Django, that was a comment from earlier saying that Cyclé had to pit and do what Grimjaw did in the first safety car, which Cyclé duly did. Perfectly executed from Sensei Grimjaw, says Don Radico. Wouldn't that be entertaining next season if these drivers keep this up? If we get to see the likes of Grimjaw, Simps, Rapture, Nucho, Spectre, Cyclé, Billy, all scrapping it out with the likes of Don and Zotile and Man Ray and everybody. Wouldn't that be entertaining? Race control has given the word that the safety car is due in at the end of this lap. Simpson's tires are not going to last, says Sidge Figure of Speech in the comment section. Next season is going to be very, very exciting. So says Don Radico, who is already in the grip of a huge championship fight with none other than their teammate. Things getting feisty in Tier 1, a battle that you can watch very, very closely tomorrow night. But tonight, it's Grimjaw absolutely sending it, trying to catch Simps off guard. And did he? That gap, 0.8 of a second. His Royal Highness, the King Rapture, also slipping further and further behind on those cold, hard compound tires. Under pressure from the Nucho is Simps, of course. The King Rapture, I beg your pardon. And look at that three-way fight between Seaclay and Billy Hendricks, who has overtaken Seaclay, as has Eskexa. Seaclay caught napping. Seaclay slipping and sliding and tumbling down the order. He will be seething, perhaps making contact with so many drivers. Seaclay's at the back of the field in lap 12 of 29. He will absolutely be fuming at this particular point. I don't know exactly who might have made contact with them. Tindo, you might have seen that.
Mshengo is the one that made a contact. There were three of them on the first corner. He was the one who just tapped him on the left front, and then he's fine from there.
And now Seaclay in anger trying to fight back. A little bit of contact between the Sergeant of Straight Line Speeds by Zozo, who closes the door to this upcoming right-hander now. Turns 7. Quickly into angle. Oh, by Zozo coming up down. Makes contact with Seaclay. It is an unforced error by Zozo, which might have cost Seaclay a front wing here. Seaclay driving in anger. Eskexa is completely off the track. What is going on? It is pandemonium here at the race restart as Seaclay is going to try to fight the way back up the grid. Let's get back up to the battle for the race lead. It is Sims versus Grimjaw, who is going to be grinning from, ear to ear. His whole jaw is going to be grinning, pretty much courtesy of some of the drivers which might have taken Seaclay, who was one of his main competitors for a potential race win. But Simpiwe Zombie will not make it easy. It is Simpiwe into the inside line. It is Sims into P1, leaving Grimjaw potentially in the dust. And Grimjaw, who might be playing the long game, could yet be content to stay in the slipstream of the onrushing Ferrari, whose medium tires may be screaming come the latter half of this race, come the final third of this race. Meanwhile, Billy Hendricks versus his Royal Highness, the King Rapture. It might be a three-way fight. Oh, they make a little bit of contact. The King Rapture goes wide as here comes the onrushing Nucho, looking to stake his claim in this three-way battle for that P3 spot. The King Raptor almost make a little bit of contact over there. The slight twitch of those rear wheels as they make the exit through turn number 6. This is 7. Nucho almost making contact with the back of the Red Bull over here. It is sensational battle. You don't even know where to look. Pretty much everywhere you look, it's just a battle after battle. This time, it's Nucho trying to overtake the King Raptor, who hasn't pitted at this particular point, despite 2 safety cars, and those hard tires would necessarily be complaining versus some of the newer tires that the competitors on either side of him are running at this particular point in time. Seaclay is driving in anger, trying to fight back into a reckoning for a decent race result before all is said and done. But he's going to have his work cut out for him. Seaclay, at this particular point, is going to hope and pray for a safety car. Race control gives a word that the DRS has been enabled at this particular point of the race. So Nucho is going to have to bide his time and duck on the inside of that Red Bull. His Royal Highness, the King Rapture, says, "You shall not pass," hangs on to that outside line, and does not necessarily leave the door wide open for the Nucho to go for that overtake. And as these two fight, of course, Billy Hendricks says, "Thank you very much. I will eke out a 1.6 second advantage to you guys, and I will not make it easy for you guys to catch up to me." So Nucho is now on the inside through this right-hander, and the King Raptor tries to give the Nucho a little bit of room, and they're now going to bang wing to wheel as far as the King Raptor is concerned. And as these two fight, guess who has joined the party? Hello, Fensei! Here to stake his claim in the battle for P4 now. And Fensei has opted for a really alternate tire strategy. It's a successive set of soft compound tires for him. They're not going to last long, but how far can he claw his way up this midfield pack? Tindo, it was a strange decision by Fensei, despite being saved by 2 safety cars to go for the stop.
I think it was a strange decision. I'm actually surprised they went for soft, because everyone else you can see they went for the hard tire and medium tires, and it's going for long. So now for him, maybe trust his pace. He's gonna pit for mediums, maybe, and then he can catch up with the rest of the guys. But I feel sorry, for Sike. He's trying to get back, to his...
sorry to cut you off, Tinder. Here it's Fensei trying to go on the attack. Billy Hendricks also at DRS, trying to fight it off as hard as he possibly can. And Fensei gets that move done, but can he make it stick? Considering that His Royal Highness the King Raptor will have that DRS behind him. Now up to P5 as Fensei on those softs, which will die off much earlier than the rest of the field, the rest of his competitors around him. It is less than a second separating these drivers from P4 to 6. And His Royal Highness the King Raptor, when will he pit? Has yet to pit, and at this particular point, 14 laps old hard on a track which is unforgiving to your tires. He will not be having the best of times here, Tindo.
Yeah, true. He's gonna start losing it soon because he's pushing, and you can see the guys on the high types are also like on the similar pace with him. Shuti, his softs are dropping very bad, and Usitle he's very angry. He's driving like a madman right now. Hey, let's just wait and see. This battle is gonna be a battle for 4 again. We're going again to tier to what we witnessed in the sprint, so it's gonna be pretty interesting.
Absolutely. C-Clay driving in anger is now going to begin the 16th lap around the Lusail International Circuit. Meanwhile, slightly ahead of him, it looks like Fensei is going for it. Fensei went for it. Fensei is ahead of the Nucho on those aging soft compound tires. And now C-Clay is going to look to stake his claim on the inside of His Royal Highness the King Raptor, who have the inside line into turn 2. But will C-Clay switch around? And King Raptor recipe time penalty. Here comes C-Clay, who's used up about half of his battery power at this point. Goes on the inside of His Royal Highness the King Raptor, who does not have enough in the bag to be able to take advantage. All of the drivers ahead of C-Clay have those time penalties, so it could be something to watch very, very closely, especially if we get another safety car before all is said and done. His Royal Highness the King Raptor still within half a second of C-Clay, trying to claw his way up this field, and let's get a sense of just how far back C-Clay is to the race leader. 13.2 seconds is the answer to that question. 13 seconds is the gap that C-Clay has to the race-leading Simps, who is towing along Grimjaw at the front of this pack. Of course, all of the drivers ahead of C-Clay and a couple behind have a time penalty to contend with. Nucho trying to make that Ferrari as large as he possibly can through the corners here. They come now through 14 and 15, making their way now towards the final corner. That is the right-hander of 16, now to begin the 17th lap around the Lusail International Circuit. As they do that, the gap has extended to the race leader to about 13.6 seconds. C-Clay has DRS. C-Clay is in a DRS train, so it's not going to be easy. Nucho tries to break the slipstream and dive on the inside to potentially go for it to Fensei ahead. C-Clay has stolen the march potentially on the Nucho. It could be a beautiful switcheroo here by C-Clay, who switches from the outside to the inside of the Nucho, whose attentions perhaps have been turned from chasing Fensei possibly to defending C-Clay behind. Fensei is putting on a monumental effort here on these aging soft compound tires, but he better be careful not to risk a potential puncture. Yes, Tindo?
Fensei is pulling a Carlos Sainz here with the Nucho here, because he's slow in front there, and he's just giving him DRS, which is saving him from Usitle attacking him. So, but I think it's going to be interesting as well with Usitle. Usitle is good at this. I know he's a very, very patient man, and the guys in front of him on mediums, they're going to struggle in the end, though. And I think he will have the momentum, plus they have penalties, so it might work on his advantage. But let's just wait and see if you won't make any mistake.
More penalties coming in, trickling in for the Nucho, as Tindo just noted. Could be DRS games being played here by Fensei, which is assisting the Nucho. And here comes C-Clay. Despite having DRS, the Nucho does not have enough pace to keep C-Clay at bay. And C-Clay would have seen that ahead of him, the Alpha Tauri of Fensei is flashing red. So as Tindo has just said, he's just going to bide his time here and know that he will be within a shot of potentially overtaking the Alpha Tauri ahead of him. 11 laps of racing here to go, including this one, folks. So we're heading on towards a thrilling final third of this race, and Ciclay is not going to waste time here. Thought about going for it on the inside of that particular track. Oh, has to watch it. Slight twitch of the rear here as the Nucho came very, very close to making contact with the back of Ciclay, who had that slight twitch of the rear through that slower hairpin turn. But right now he's got the pace, and he's eked out a gap of just over a second, meaning the Nucho is going to have to drain his battery if he's going to want to take part in this little DRS potential party over here. And as Fence's aging tires are defending from Ciclay here, it is slowing his march up the field. So this battle is crucial for the likes of Simps and Grimjaw and even Billy Hendricks as far as the podium places are concerned. Finally, Fence dives into the pits, giving Ciclay leeway, giving Ciclay free rein to attack some of those leaders. But that battle has cost Ciclay dearly. When we checked in last time out, it was about 13.5 seconds. So in that battle, Ciclay has lost about 2 seconds to the race leader. And a safety car would be Ciclay's saving grace at this particular point, unless we were to see some sensational drama over here. Smirch Django says, you know what? Ciclay's in fresh air here. Let's see what he can do now. Let's see whether or not he can bridge that gap. The Nucho is behind as we get a sense of who the quickest driver on track is. It is Simps who's running on those mediums. 24.305 is the benchmark that Simps has set. So we've got about 10 laps of racing to go here, folks. Nucho is in P5. The Sergeant of Straight Line Speeds by Zozo is under attack from Fence, who has a fresh set of medium compound tires. At this particular point in time, we'll look to close that gap to Spy Zozo. That's another one that we're going to watch very, very closely at this particular point. M. Shengu is running in P8 from His Royal Highness the King Rapture. Espexa has had a decent sprint race, and the start of his feature race was also great, but those moments of contact sadly costing him dearly at this particular point. Running in P10, it's going to be one additional championship point for the McLaren driver at this particular point. Yes, Tindo.
Why Grimjaw is pitting, though?
Interesting question. Grimjaw comes into the pits with 9 laps of racing to go.
And then goes on soft, like, come on.
Is this Grimjaw throwing a guaranteed race win away? I want to hear your thoughts. Grimjaw backs himself to be able to catch up here. He's cost himself, as far as the race lead is concerned, 24.2 seconds. Man, oh man. What happened to Spy Zozo? Oh, he came into the pits. That's why the likes of Fence, etc., overtook him. Some of you responding to that decision by Grimjaw to come into the pits for softs. What on earth is this man thinking at this particular point in the race? Some of you are asking. Let's take a look at the tire age, tire compounds. 14-lap-old mediums for Simps, Billy Hendricks. Simps has taken the bait, Tindo. Simps has opted to come into the pit. Are these guys handing
it to
a race win?
Now. They are handing it to Sid. And Billy
Hendricks also comes into the pit. What is going on? Grimjaw coming into the pit. Are they so scared of a potential fight back?
What are they thinking? What are they smoking?
They have handed Ciclay the lead of this race with about 8 laps of racing to go. Django says Simpson's tires wouldn't have survived. Billy Hendricks also came into the pits. Charlie 3 Stacks, Charlie 3000 says they have just handed Ciclay the W. And look at that, Grimjaw. 4.3 second gap to the race leader. But the penalties will hurt them, as Django rightly notes. What is this thinking in Tier 2? Ciclay, who had to contend with that three-way battle that cost him so many positions, had to claw his way through the field, is now back in command, in control of this race. Mateo Mex asks, is the pace difference that big on a new set of tires? Grimjaw will catch Ciclay easily. easy catch, but will it be enough? Will Grimjaw be able to
open the gap?
Yeah, he needs a 3-second buffer from C-Clay. Can that be done on these tires, which are being absolutely fried here?
I think his tires will die in the end. Maybe in lap 26, there 20. But he needs to open the gap. If he has to overtake, he needs to overtake like now, like on this lap. He needs to overtake him, because if he doesn't do that, C-Clay is good at what he does, and he knows how to manage these things. Especially if he's leading, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for the guys.
Man, oh man, oh man. It is going to be very, very interesting. Word of appreciation also. What a great race Billy Hendricks has had here today. A man who made their... let's actually get back to the action. I was busy just creating a poll here, and Grimjaw has already caught up to C-Clay. We'll go on board here, and I want to hear your thoughts on who exactly is taking this race win, also taking into account the penalties that will come into effect at this particular point. If you look on the telemetry, folks, he's used up so much of his battery power, down to 20% versus C-Clay, who perhaps we might assume could have been saving his battery. No, it's 33%. So it's not the biggest of advantages, and C-Clay will look to make this battle last as long as he possibly can, knowing, of course, that they've expended so much of their tire wear, of the tire conditions, trying to catch up. And now both C-Clay, both Grimjaw and Simps on the outside of C-Clay. They've both got the overtake done, and Simps is going for it on the outside of Grimjaw, and Simps is into the race lead. Grimjaw now has to be content with that P2 spot. Simpiwe Zondi, Simps, what a sensational move that was on the outside of the Williams, and C-Clay, despite having the fight back of his life, now has to hang on to a potential P3 spot if the top two drivers can eke out a 3-second buffer. It is lap 23 of 29. They have a couple of laps in which to do so. Can it be done? I want to hear your thoughts. Who is winning this? What a sensational race we've seen, Tindo. I cannot believe the levels that we have seen here. You all questioned their strategy. You all questioned their decisions to come into the pits when they did. But C-Clay, who opted to go conservative, perhaps trusting his pace and even more, is now trying to hang on here, and that battery power down to about 33%. Yes, Tindo.
Yeah, I think they took a gamble. It might work on their favor. Oh,
C-Clay comes into the pits. C-Clay comes into the pits, as Zotal was suggesting in the comments section. But at this particular point, it is possibly for the fastest lap.
Yeah, I think
surely, Tindo.
Yeah, I think for the fastest lap, because he knows Billy's on his penalties, even Fence has penalties. So even if they overtake him, he's still gonna get the fastest lap and also the P3 spot.
Max says the pace difference is insane, and with C-Clay coming into the pits, what a result. I was starting to talk about this man who has really made their impression on the BrakeAway Racing League. Started off battling down in the doldrums of Tier 3, really struggling to find their way into the playoffs, and as it stands, in a stacked field with the likes of Simps, Grimjaw, C-Clay, Fence, Nucho, this man, Billy Hendricks, might yet be in the reckoning for what would be a sensational podium finish in what would be a really well-driven race. As the likes of you, or some of you in the comments are still saying it is still Grimjaw for the win. Billy Hendricks, what a performance it has been for him to get back on board with the battle for the race win. We're watching, of course, and seeing how some of you are responding. About 80% of you reckon Grimjaw is going to win this, and here comes Grimjaw on the outside. It's turn 16, the final corner of this race, but the Simps hangs on to that P1 spot. It is now Grimjaw using DRS, and DRS on the inside, but Simps, look at that straight line speed, taking a leaf out of Spizozo's book. It is Simps who tucks into the slipstream of the Alfa Romeo ahead of him. What a sensational extravaganza showcase that these guys have given us. And C-Clay has racked up a 3-second time penalty. So that means everybody on the grid has a penalty to contend with, the highest of which, of course, is His Royal Highness the King Raptor. Back on board we go with Simps, who is putting on the fight of his life here, trying to give Grimjaw a lot to talk about here. Oh man, it is not so easy here, even in Tier 2 of BrakeAway Racing League.
BrakeAway ay kapan. Kasi kapag dominator, look at mga 2021, 2022. Kasi kapag because the lumatanda yung mara. BrakeAway ay kapan.
Yes, BrakeAway ay Fanny. And as I say that, C-Clay overtakes Billy Hendricks to take that P4 spot as things currently stand. C-Clay has to eke out a 3.1 second buffer currently between himself and Billy Hendricks ahead of him. Let's take a look at how the situation is looking as far as the tires are concerned. And of course, it is not only about the penalties and who finishes P1. It is also a battle. Look at that. Simps is happy. Simps trust their pace. We just saw Simps lifting off the throttle significantly there. So Simps is just happy to allow Grimjaw to be in the lead of this race, knowing that he's going to go completely on the attack in the final stages of this race, while trying to be mindful not to rack up a time penalty. Yes, Tendo.
I think maybe he's lifting it up because he might be running out of fuel. So now you need to save the fuel for the last 3 laps, because in the last lap you might not have anything and then you'll lose a lot of position. That's why he's lifting.
Absolutely. Very, very well spotted out. Of course, we know a lot of these pacier drivers and more strategic drivers, they do bank on safety cars, and they do tend to underfuel, which it does cost them towards the end of races. So we will see whether or not that is the case by the time we get this all is said and done. C-Clay, meanwhile, has caught up to the back of Billy Hendricks, who has put on a valiant effort here to be hanging on to that P3 spot. It's a 3-lap tire difference between these two, and C-Clay is just now on the prowl, looking to effect this overtake. He will hope before the end of lap 27. Here he comes now on the outside as they now run towards the 16th and final corner. Wheel to wheel, C-Clay versus Billy Hendricks, and the former champion is now up to that P3 spot, effecting that overtake. 2 laps of racing still to go. I want to hear your thoughts on who will be the driver of the day. Will Billy Hendricks put on a heck of a fight and dive on the inside? He thought about it, but did not do so at this particular point. What a race it has been. I want to hear your thoughts, folks. We're going to end this poll that we had over here. Yes, Tindo.
Yeah, I think what Sims is playing like it's a mind game he's playing. He's saving his ERS, and it's been going up. And Grim is chowing his one because he's trying to keep up with the guy behind him. I think he actually Sims has much better pace than Grimjaw, because if you look at the battery life between the two of them, one is draining it, one is not, but he's just keeping up with him, one in front. So I guess he's leaving it for the last lap.
Yep, we have about 22% for the race-leading Grimjaw, who begins now the penultimate lap on this main straight. Sims, as some of you have rightly noted, is saving up that battery power, but it looks like Sims is on the attack. He's got DRS. He wasn't quite using up that battery power. What a beautiful, beautiful race we have seen here in Tier 2 of BrakeAway Racing League. We have to commend these drivers in the second tier. They really are putting on a heck of a show, race after race, season after season. And as far as the attendance is concerned, they do give us really, really good grids. They don't shy away from attending races, despite load-shedding stages. They just make sure that they can attend as best as they possibly can. We've had beautifully full grids and sensationally entertaining races being served up by our Tier 2 contingent. Sims versus Grimjaw is the battle that we're going to watch. C-Clay could have been in line for a race win, but will now have to contend with that final podium spot. Billy Hendricks is in P4. Very decent race result as far as he's concerned. And we don't want to miss any action when Simps finally goes for it. This may be the time to send it. So says Smirch Django. Over here, on board we go with Simps, who has been imperious over here, as the Prince of South Africa rightfully notes, as Simps goes on the inside. Completely sensational, claiming the race lead in the final lap of this race. But how much of a fight back will Grimjaw put on here before all is said and done? We now go on board with the P2 running Grimjaw, who has been brilliant here in the sprint and feature race. And now it is advantage Simps, as many of you have duly noted. Let's take a look now at the penalty situation, as Grimjaw brakes, trying not to make unnecessary contact over here. All of the drivers in the top 5 have 3 seconds. Only the Nucho with 6 and 12 seconds for the King Raptor. And there goes Simps showing the pace that many of you have said he always had in the back. Oh, slight twitch of the rear there for Simps, who now has almost a full second between himself and Grimjaw. He has now broken the DRS as they make their way through turns 12 and 13, and it has been an absolutely imperious drive by the driver, who now stamps his authority, ekes out a 2-second gap, and pretty much cements his claim as the driver to beat in Tier 2. A sensational effort. Simps comes across the line in Qatar to win the Qatar Grand Prix. Sensational drive by him. Grimjaw, despite a valiant effort, will come home in P2. The 3-time champion clawed his way back to trim that gap to about 15.7 seconds to the leading pair when all was said and done. It could have been a race win, but it is still a podium by C-Clay here in Tier 2. Billy Hendricks take a bow. Sensational effort in such a challenging race. And Billy Hendricks comes across the line. P4 sends it into the wall for good measure. P5 for Fence. The Nucho comes home in P6. The King Raptor, His Royal Highness, it's a case of what could have been for him had he opted for a different tire strategy and a different pitting strategy. For him, it's going to be P7. I want to hear your thoughts on who is the driver of the day. Tindo, your thoughts as well. The Sergeant of Straight Line Speeds by Zozo is going to bring it home in P8. He's now making his way through the final corner, turn number 16. It's going to be a couple of points for Spizozo and Aston Martin. A beautiful day for Aston Martin. Sensational day for Ferrari, it must be said. It's going to be P8 for him. And here comes Espexa across the line to finish P9 for McLaren. M. Shangu, highly experienced driver, formerly of the top tier, had a lot of pace, as we've seen in Tier 1 in the seasons gone by. But it's a different set of circumstances. Had it coming together earlier on with some other drivers. It's going to be P10 for the Alpine driver. Man, oh man, oh man. The Prince of South Africa cheering on Billy Hendricks in the comment section. We do hope to be joined by these drivers here in the commentary box to hear their thoughts on what has really been a really sensational effort by them. Let's see if we can get them into this lobby. Tindo, I want to hear your thoughts on that race.
I think I'll give it up. I'll give it to Simps. He did play. His driving actually was very good, and also with Grimjaw. I think their battle was more interesting. The whole race they had similar pace, but it's just that Simps had more pace than him. He was just playing mind games with him just to keep him going, get the DRS, maintain the 1 second between the two of them. He just wait for the right moment to just get it and then move on with it.
Man, what a race that was. As you can see, Simps claiming 27 total points from tonight's action here in Qatar. Grimjaw, 25 total points. It's a beautiful effort for their championship standing. C-Clay, 23 total points. I cannot wait for the rest of the season. The quality of driving that those drivers have given us. What a day for Billy Hendricks. 18 points for them. And of course, Fensei claiming 13 points. His Royal Highness the King Rapture, 8. 6 points for Espexa, and 4 for the Sergeant of Straight Line Speeds by Zozo. And Shengu takes that 1 championship points. Whew, well, we haven't seemed to have gotten any of these drivers in this commentary box. Tindo, I just want to hear your thoughts. Let's assume each of the drivers in the top, 5 that we've seen today make it to
Playoffs.
or make it through to tier 1. How difficult is it getting just to keep your seat in tier 1 as these seasons keep on going?
It's gonna be very, very, very interesting. There's legends that they say that they don't leave tier 1, but I think if this top 5 comes in, we'll see some guys leaving tier 1, not coming back again, because it's gonna be very, very interesting. For example, the way it is already this season, there's a lot of guys that are so quick. And you make a mistake, you're out. Or if you make a mistake, they leave you, you're not going to catch up unless if there's a safety car coming in. So there's a lot of improvement from the drivers. And the ones that we thought were dominating before, it's a different story now. We used to have Lusail, Lusail would leave everyone, would lap everyone in tracks like this. But now it's pretty interesting now because, everyone is quick. People are putting time in this, they're investing their time, money, and all those things in this game. So we just need to pull up our socks and we keep pushing.
Too many fast guys. Bongani, Debo Crocodile, as we see C-Clay here in the comment section saying he had to brake to avoid getting penalties. And third place with an emoji. I'm not sure if C-Clay is happy with that, but it's still a valiant effort considering that incident earlier on in the race, which cost C-Clay all those positions. But still, some of the quality of the racing was so beautiful to watch. And Tindo, not only in the front, in the midfield as well, we saw King Raptor obviously opted to stay out on those tires. He was having beautiful battles with the likes of Fensei, both in the sprint and in the feature race. We saw Nuccio putting on a heck of a fight. Billy Hendricks as well. Really have to give props to him. Debo Crocodile says it was a good race for him.
I think it's actually my driver of the day, Billy Hendricks today. He put on a show, and I think this track, or maybe I would say, guys are improving. This track as well, it suits a lot of people. Once you stay on track, you don't make mistakes. You find yourself there up there, and with the way it is now, you break a wing, bazokushiya nje.
Yeah, it is pretty much very, very late for you if you do break a wing. Tindo, just before we wrap it up, let's just catch up with some of the comments section. Zotal giving props to Simps. Don Remico was saying Grimjaw was out of fuel. What a race, definitely Dukes. The Prince of South Africa cheering on Billy Hendricks. And Kaboza says tier 1 drivers in the playoffs are not going to remain in tier 1. A similar situation to that we saw in the most recent set of playoffs. So reckons Kaboza. It is getting so difficult, as Tindo has already mentioned. Crash was also congratulating Simps over there. And yeah, what a sensationally beautiful race we had over here. Please tune in, everybody, to the tier 1 showcase tomorrow. I believe when it is a sprint race, if I'm not mistaken, sprint races do start at 8 p.m., if I'm not mistaken, unless that has been changed. But just before we dip out, we just been joined by C-Clay in the comments section. Congratulations, sir. A podium place, perhaps not what you might have wanted at the start of today, but still, what a fight back. And please take us through number 1, the sprint, and the way that you were able to fight your way up to the lead there, and the feature race.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
All right. Sprint was nice, dude. I was just chilling, vibing. Come race. That safety car, bro. I thought there'll be another one later. The second one came too soon. And then on the restart, because I had to pit on the second one, what kind of ruined my race was I'm not sure who was ahead of me, but they were slow, bro. They reacted so slow, and obviously I need to get past them because the front two are going. Our highs went so different.
Yeah.
I passed before the line apparently, so I had to have a young break there on the straight. Next thing, two cars are passing me. I'm in an awkward position, and then I touched whoever it was. I forgot who it was, man. I touched him and I spun. But yeah, that was it.
And that's what cost you having to fight back there. Okay, now take us through the pit stops. I believe it could have been after the second safety car, late on, when Grimjaw and Simps came into the pits. Were you surprised at that? Were you tempted to also follow suit, or was it a case of, you know what, I trust my pace to be able to hang on here?
There was no hanging on, man. They were on softs. Those hards were gone. What I was hoping for was a safety car as they went in, you get me? So I tried staying out just a bit longer because ideally here you wanna pit around lap 15, 16.
Yeah.
From maybe mediums to hards or hards to mediums, but we pitted on lap 10. So yeah, it was a very fine line, man. I don't think I would have finished the race if I didn't. Especially with the fighting that was still going to happen. I don't think so.
All right, man. But still, what an effort, man, and the fight back.
I just wish I was there in front, man. I wish that didn't happen.
It would have been so beautiful to see, man. And who knows? It's back to regular quali in Spain next time around. We've seen you put on a show around there. So hopefully you could give us more of that in Spain.
Hey, man, I'm trying. This ABS off thing, bro. Hey, kunzima, Joe. Hey, bro, sometimes you think you got this braking thing on lock, and that rear tire just
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll get used to it.
Man, looking forward to it. Congratulations, Sikle. P3 spot. You were 10th in the championship standings before today, so you're going to leapfrog a lot of drivers. And of course, you're going to be fighting it out for those automatic promotion places. Congratulations, Sikle. We will see you in Spain next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Congrats to the front too. They are moving.
Congratulations indeed,
I need
Simps.
to watch out for them. They are moving.
Simps and Grimjaw. Absolutely. Great stuff, Sikle. Tindo, any final thoughts before we wrap up the stream?
No, I think it was a great race. You know, it was a good performance. We're just hoping for the same as well with the tier 1 guys. No safety car. So we're just hoping everyone, you know, is up to their sleeves and they're going to put on a good show tomorrow and not affect anyone's race. Let's just race clean. But yeah, thank you for everyone watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, and good night.
Hola.